Well, hello again, Monsters fans. It's that time. Episode 3 of Monsters Distancing Dialogues, presented by Musselman's Applesauce, comes your way today. And my guest is all the way from the great state of Maine. Doyle Somerby is joining us. And Doyle, thanks for taking a few minutes, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Been a while.
It has been a great while. Before we get going, we want to remind you guys to pick up Musselman's Applesauce at your local grocery store. Visit musselmans.com for delicious and nutritious applesauce and apple butter recipes. Doyle, as you know, Jock Calendar is the go-to on any applesauce-related recipe. He puts it in the oatmeal, so that's how he gets Musselman's into his diet. But you know what? I thought a good place to start for us today, though, would be to go back to mid-March. We were all on the road in Charlotte. And I traveled back after that last game that we all had on the bus that night. But all the players, yourself included, flew back the next day. A lot of news was breaking that night, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions. But take us back to that time for you and your teammates, and just what it was like trying to get back to Cleveland and then figure out what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was obviously, like for everyone else, just really weird time. I had some family in town in Charlotte that had all flown in to watch the games and stuff like that. So I was out to dinner with them after the game and just kind of reading everything on social media and kind of talking with them about their travel plans and stuff like that. So and then we woke up the next morning and saw the NBA season was canceled, and that's kind of the first moment I was like, wow, this is going to be pretty interesting to go about things. And just walking through the airport that day, everyone's on high alert, and heading home, you don't really know, because they're like, you just go home and hang out and don't do much. So it was just kind of confusing going back. A couple of us lived in the same apartment building, so we made a quick grocery store run and then kind of isolated ourselves pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that was the guidance really for everyone at that point. I remember I kind of did the same thing. We got back on the bus and just went to the store right then and stocked up and just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, in terms of the season. And as we know, we're hoping to get back to hockey as soon as possible. But right now, all of you guys, you and all your teammates, the coaching staff, you're all scattered all over the country, in some cases all over the world, trying to wait to see if we can get back to things here. But tell us a little bit about where you are right now. Of course, you're from Massachusetts, but up in Maine right now. Give us a sense of how quarantine's going for you, where you're at, and who you're spending all this time with.
Yeah, so I started off, stayed in Cleveland for a little bit, just for when it first happened, with all of them just telling us no one really knew where it was going to go and how long we were going to be off for. But so when they originally said just stay in your residences here, went out, bought as many groceries as I could possibly fit in the fridge pretty much. So I ended up staying, finished those off. And then once they said you can go home and you're allowed to go to your primary residences, I came up here and just stuck in here with my mom and my stepdad and taking care and fixing up the house that I bought last year.
That's awesome. I mean, for anyone that's been to Maine, it's a great place to spend the time, a beautiful state, getting outdoors. Have you had a chance I know you're doing a lot of work up there, but have you had a chance to enjoy just sort of the environment you're in and all this downtime?
Yeah, so I mean, try and save the outdoor work for the nice days, but they've been pretty few and far between. There's been a little bit of sun, which is nice when the sun's on you, but the wind's whipping, and we got I think it was 5 inches of snow one day. So not ideal for right now, but it was a pretty mild winter, so I guess I can't complain too much.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have some family up there with you too, and to be able to spend this time. I mean, that's something that I've talked about with numerous of your teammates already throughout this period. Is if there is one silver lining to this situation, it's just being off the road a little bit at a time of year when that is totally atypical. The hockey season it's all about routine and sort of, the calendar is similar every year when you guys have downtime and when you can see your families. So, how have you been doing with that? Just getting out of a routine that you've been in now for multiple years.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things, almost like careful what you wish for. I had a few block shots and a few hits that kind of went the wrong way and left me kind of banged up for a few days where you're limping around. So it's almost like before you heard about this, it's like, I need a few days. Like I don't know how I'm going to be able to play in the next game or something like that. So when it started off, it was for the first couple of days, it was really nice to give my body a break, but now you're starting to kind of want to get after it a little bit, and taking the time, obviously, college for 4 years. And then this is my third year pro. You get a little bit of time with your family in the summer, but nothing like this. So I think almost now it's we're kind of staying in different parts of the house and getting away from each other because we're almost around each other too much.
Yeah, definitely. I guess there's two sides to that coin for sure. But yeah, it's just such a bizarre situation we find ourselves in. I mean, you mentioned getting outside to do a little work around the property, but there's a lot of time spent indoors too. Like, what are some of the things you're doing to just keep yourself sane and pass by these long hours that can certainly pile up?
One of the things is I love to cook anyway. So just kind of getting in the kitchen, doing a few different things in there, like trying to switch it up, maybe get a little bit better. I think I get a little bit lazy sometimes with throwing together the same meals over and over again. But so we've been doing that. And then recently we've been playing a card game. When I visited my girlfriend, she had a game going there. So it was, I'm not saying you're stupid game. It's like all just like random facts, and you kind of guess whoever's closest. Like there's some absurd question. I don't know. It's tough to explain over this, but it actually gets like some pretty good laughs, and you can just sit there for hours playing it.
That's good. I mean, that's what it's all about right now, finding a way to, not ignore what's going on, but sort of get through this period of time. And the lack of information it can be frustrating if you let it get to you. So let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, we're awaiting an update on the AHL season. We're awaiting an update on really, all sports right now. But, if you think about the different scenarios in which maybe you guys would be able to get back to playing hockey, is that something that's even on your radar right now? I mean, it's not easy to flip the switch from downtime to game ready, but, is hockey much in your mind right now, or are we all just not quite there yet?
I think it's always in your mind a little bit. One of the home improvements I did here was I added a gym in the basement. So I've been able to really get workouts going and lifting weights and trying to stay in shape as much as you can. I don't think the tough part about starting to play again or something like that is you can't stay in game shape. No matter what you do, no matter how much you run, no matter how much you bike, there's even skating in practice. There's nothing like battling and competing and being hard to play against and stuff like that. It takes a little bit. So it would be really interesting to see, but obviously hopeful, but you got to wait and see when we're allowed to.
Yep, that's the name of the game right now is sort of just trying to get the best information we can and wait for updates. And we're lucky we have direct communication with the American League, with the National Hockey League through the Blue Jackets and everything. So we're all just kind of waiting for that green light. We're talking here with Doyle Somerby on our distancing dialogues presented by Musselman's Applesauce. While we have a second, Doyle, we were talking about this just before we got going here. I think we can all use a haircut right about now.
Yep.
So I wanted to make our fans aware of what our great partners at Great Clips are doing in conjunction with the Professional Beauty Association. They have put together a fund for all of the folks in that particular industry that are dealing with, financial trouble right now due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So they're doing it through what they're calling their Stay Home Hair program. And I've got my stay home hair going on right now. The savings on hair product alone, Doyle, are unbelievable throughout this pandemic. But we'd encourage our fans to visit greatclips.com/stayhomehair, and on social media, use that stay home hair hashtag to generate some awareness. Those folks in that industry are hard hit, as are many across many different industries. But that's just one of the many things that changes about life when you can't leave the house, right? I mean, suddenly the priorities are a little bit different.
Yeah, I've always been a pretty big hat guy, but I don't think I've taken one off in a while. I got a little bit of an afro going, and just nothing helps, and I've been struggling. Can't find anything.
Yeah, just one of the many things. I wanted to take a minute too here I know you're in a different part of the country right now, but you've been so involved in all of our community relations efforts throughout your time with the Monsters. Right now we're thinking of all the essential workers, but my focus always seems to start with the healthcare workers. I mean, in my family, I've got multiple people that are in the healthcare industry. And right now it's a scary time, but it's a time of great sacrifice and heroes really in that industry all across the country and world, but in Cleveland specifically. So any word to all those brave folks that are, putting themselves on the line for all of us.
Yeah, not all heroes wear capes, and I think that's especially true with those guys. Before I got to Cleveland, I didn't really understand how big all of the hospitals were there. I guess like how massive they were, and doing all the different visits to all the different hospitals in the area, you meet so many great people in there, and I got some family friends back home that work at hospitals, and just those personal connections you have, the ties, and to see how serious it is when you're walking around downtown Cleveland where no one's on the streets, everyone's in masks and stuff like that, and they're diving right in and fighting it head on for us. It's really special, and obviously really appreciative of them, and hope they can keep grinding through this, because some of the hours they're putting in right now is ungodly. So obviously just really, really thankful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes for me too, and for the entire organization. It's just tough to imagine being in that situation day after day, looking after folks that are dealing with this disease, and not to mention all the other essential businesses too. Everybody is dealing with their own thing right now. And so to all those essential workers, we just say thanks, and you've got our support all the way. Let's get back to hockey just a little bit here. Talk about maybe your teammates a little bit, Doyle. Like, you're a little bit far away right now physically.
Yeah.
Keeping in touch with your teammates, like what's that process been like through this time?
Yeah, you keep in touch a little bit. I think when everyone got home, they were just kind of focused on getting there, getting settled and acclimated. And that first 2 weeks of quarantining, there's not a lot to do. You're sitting in your basement, you're sitting in your house, so you kind of keep in touch. And then now with at least myself doing all the home improvements and stuff, pretty busy throughout the day. So just little Snapchats here and there, some random messages and stuff like that. So I try and keep in touch as much as you can, because a lot of those guys have been with for 3 years, so we're all really close.
Yeah, looks like there you go. You're back now. We lost your video for a second there, but it's just so weird, right? Because you spend during the hockey season 100% of your time, like almost 24 hours a day, especially when you're on the road with your teammates. It becomes such a big part of just life, and then all of a sudden, bang, you guys all head off in your separate directions. I know it's kind of like that at the end of the season, but no one was expecting that sort of thing in the middle of March. So has this whole process just been a little disorienting to you, just sort of changing overnight, what you thought would be the end of your season?
Yeah, it was absolutely like the last 2 years, like usually the season ends, you kind of have end of the year get together a few of the nights, and you're able to say like your proper goodbyes. But here it was, once they finally gave us word that we need to go home to the primary spots, it was get to the rink, grab your bag when you can, but you can't all come at the same time, and try and stay away from each other. So it was obviously FaceTime was kind of the proper goodbye, I guess, which is obviously strange. But like I said, we were all so close because we've had a pretty good returning group every year. And I think that helps with the guys that are new. You kind of get intertwined pretty closely. So, but yeah, it's definitely a bizarre situation. And as far as the leaving Cleveland goes as quickly as it did, it kind of stunk, because I'm a big fan of Cleveland, love all the restaurants and stuff, and didn't get a few of my meals in my favorite places that I wish I could. So I was really bummed about that.
Yeah, for sure. And like you kind of said there, at the end of the season, especially when when it's going to happen, there's all those opportunities to not just to your teammates, but to all the support staff and even the fans and stuff we do in the front office. There's so many opportunities to say thank you and say so long, and kind of put a bow on the season a little bit. And just to not have the chance to do that, with that in mind, at least, do you have any message to all the folks that have come out for your 3 years in Cleveland and supported you and supported this team? I mean, they're missing hockey right now. They're missing all of you guys. So what's your message to all those great fans?
Oh, I'm so grateful for them. The biggest thing that I'm gonna miss is that purple game that we had coming up. Coming here, I didn't really know what to expect when I ended up in Cleveland, and my first year I was taken aback by how good our fans were every night, loud, and best attendance in the league, and one of the harder places to play at for opposing teams. And then you start to do the off ice things, and you see all the people that are excited to come, all the support we get, and it's just really special and makes it fun coming home every time. And but yeah, those specialty games, I know the purple game meant a lot to a lot of people in the organization, all the fans and stuff. So it's kind of a bummer that we couldn't get that played right away. And then the farewell game at the end, all the thank yous that we get to kind of skate around the ice after the game, and the jersey auctions and stuff like that. So all the interactions we have with those guys are so special.
Yeah, they really are. And so same from the organization, from me, missing all you fans, and we'll see you just as soon as we possibly can get back to it. Doyle, we're just about at the end of our time here, but I couldn't let you go without one little fun question here, okay? So I guess we'll do two. First one is, if you could pick any one of your teammates or coaches or support staff, who are you wanting to be quarantined with? Who could you actually have fun being quarantined with over this time? And who would absolutely be at the bottom of your list as well to have to spend
with? The one that I want to be quarantined with, I got to go with my roommate, of course. I live with Mike Papavisis this year, and we had a great time. We were pretty friendly last year. We moved in together this year. Great roommate chemistry. He cooks pretty well. And no arguments at all. So, and he's clean. So that's my mate. And the one I'm not quarantined with. Any of the other boys going to watch this?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
It'll be out there.
Wow. I think I wouldn't want to be quarantined in the Bingham with Justin Scott and Sam Vigneault. It's a tough roommate chemistry there, and I don't want to be a part of it.
Fair enough. All right. So you thought it over, but you gave us an answer, so we appreciate that. Yeah. This has been fun, Doyle. It's good to see you, man. I'm glad you're hanging in there up in Maine, and thank you for taking the time, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay careful, and hopefully we can get back to this hockey thing before long.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we can see each other soon.
All right. That is Doyle Somerby. We appreciate his time. To you guys, thanks for watching. I'm Tony Brown. This has been another episode of Monsters Distancing Dialogues presented by Musselman's.